Welcome to HFY Stories. Please subscribe to the channel. Your one click means the world to me. The sleeping pad snapped sideways hard enough to knock a metal cup from the nearest desk. Tumble came up with it. The young predator's front paws struck the floor, his broad hearing mantles flaring out from his head like dark fans. A low warning note rolled through Pairing Hall. It was not loud, but every cadet within reach stopped moving. The cleaning rail kept humming beneath the trapped corner of the pad. Tumble pulled again. The rail pulled back. 3 cadets reached for restraint handles at the same time. "Don't!" The voice came from the records desk at the edge of the hall. Rin Calder had already pushed away from her chair. She did not approach Tumble. She walked to the far edge of the pad instead, planted the sole of one boot against the cleaning rail, and pressed its emergency release with her heel. The mechanism clicked, the fabric slid free. Rin took 2 steps backward. "There. Your argument with the floor is over." Tumble stared at her. He was still young enough for his paws to look slightly too large for the rest of him. The Varkish cub stood shoulder-high to Rin's desk, with smoke-dark fur along his spine and pale markings beneath his eyes. His hearing mantles remained spread. Rin waited. She did not offer a hand. She did not call his name. She did not touch the pad. Tumble lowered his head, seized the thick sleeping mat between his teeth, and dragged it away from the cleaning rail. One of the supervising cadets exhaled, then Tumble kept going. He hauled the pad past the nearest rest alcove. Past a cadet whose registry badge showed a green Varkesh compatibility mark, past another desk, past the family interphosis station. The pad bunched under one of his enormous paws. He corrected it without letting go, dragged it another few meters, and stopped beside Rin's chair. Rin looked down. Tumble turned once, twice. Then he dropped onto the pad with the heavy finality of a creature who had finished negotiating with the universe. The registry panel over Rin's desk still displayed one word, Unmatched. Nobody in Pairing Hall spoke. Rin glanced from the sleeping cub to the glowing panel. "That seems awkward." Someone near the back made a choking sound that might have been a laugh. The sound woke the room. "Clear the station," a supervisor ordered. Nobody approached the juvenile. Tumble's head came up. His hearing mantles opened again. Rin saw the change before anyone else moved. The cub had not looked at the supervisor. He had looked at the hands reaching toward his pad. "Stop," she said. The supervisor frowned. "Cadet Calder, stop reaching for his bed. It is Academy property." Tumble rose. The warning note returned. This time it vibrated faintly through the metal legs of Rin's desk. Several cadets stepped back. Rin stayed where she was, but she moved her chair farther from the pad. "He picked a place to lie down," she said. "So maybe we let him lie down. He is obstructing a record station. He is sleeping beside it. He is not sleeping." Tumble's lips pulled back just enough to show the points of his teeth. Rin looked at the supervisor. "Because 6 people are discussing stealing his mattress." No one answered that. A sharp confirmation tone sounded from Rin's terminal. Tumble flinched. His mantles snapped wider. Rin reached over, muted the terminal, and then withdrew her hand. The next silence was complete. Tumble remained standing for several seconds. Then his shoulders dropped. His mouth closed, one hearing mantle folded halfway, then the other. Rin sat down. She turned her chair slightly so she was not facing him directly and opened the intake forms she had been sorting before the cleaning rail had jammed. Nothing happened. That was apparently the correct thing to do. Tumble lowered himself onto the sleeping pad. His chin settled between his paws. 5 minutes later he was asleep. Pairing Hall began breathing again. The registry display remained bright above Rin's head. Unmatched. Rin tried to ignore it. She had been trying to ignore it for 11 days. Every cadet at Latticegate Response College went through compatibility screening before mixed-species emergency rotations. The registry did not decide who was kind, brave, intelligent, or trustworthy. Officially, it predicted working compatibility, how a cadet responded to alien family customs, juvenile distress, physical boundaries, command pressure, and unfamiliar social cues. Unofficially, everyone noticed the results. Rin had no match, not a low match. Not a provisional match, nothing. Her command projection score was poor. Her intervention frequency was below Academy preference. She hesitated before physical contact when others expected immediate handling. She did not naturally fill silence with instructions. The system had reviewed her against every family group currently participating in the college's emergency response program. No assignment, no placement, no green mark. So while the rest of her cohort practiced live family interfusus scenarios, Rin had been given temporary records duty at the edge of Pairing Hall. She had told herself it was temporary. The word over her head disagreed. Tumble slept beneath it. The hall doors opened. Every Varkesh juvenile in the room reacted at once. Heads turned. Mantles shifted. Tumble woke so quickly that Rin barely saw the movement. One moment he was flat on the pad, the next he was standing. A full-grown Varkesh female entered Pairing Hall. Sela Oren was larger than any human in the room, though not by as much as the Academy's orientation videos had made Rin expect. Dark silver fur lay close along her shoulders, broken by two pale bands at the throat. Her hearing mantles were smaller in proportion than Tumble's and remained tightly controlled. Tumble abandoned the sleeping pad. He crossed the hall at a run. Rin watched him go without moving. He struck Sela's chest with both forepaws. Sela rocked backward half a step, lowered her head, and pressed her brow against his. A few cadets stared at Rin, perhaps expecting some reaction. Rin only looked back at the records terminal. "Good," she murmured. "There's your mother." Sela's eyes shifted toward her. Tumble circled his mother once, made a soft rattling sound deep in his throat, then leaned heavily against one of Sela's forelegs. The atmosphere in the hall changed immediately. The cub who had been treated as a containment problem 5 minutes earlier was now plainly somebody's child. Sela listened while the supervisor explained the cleaning rail incident. Her gaze moved from the rail to the freed corner of the pad, then to Rin. "You released the object." Rin nodded. Not him. He wasn't trapped. He appeared distressed. The bed was trapped. Sela studied her. "And then, I got out of the way. That is all." Rin looked at the sleeping pad. He did the rest. Sela's eyes narrowed slightly. "They attempted to remove it. Academy property. That was not my question." Rin almost smiled. "Yes, they tried, and you stopped them. I suggested we not start a diplomatic incident over a mattress that brought a visible reaction from Sela." One corner of her mouth lifted, though Rin was not sure whether the expression meant amusement. Tumble left his mother. He walked back across the hall. Rin expected him to inspect the pad and return to Sela. Instead, he stepped onto it, turned twice, and lay down again beside Rin's chair. Sela became very still. The supervisor noticed. "What does that mean?" Sela did not answer immediately. Tumble stretched out on one side, his hind paws extended beyond the edge of the mat. One rested almost beneath Rin's desk. Sela approached at a calm walk. Tumble did not rise. She stopped several steps away. He has chosen a resting boundary. The supervisor glanced at Rin. A territorial claim? No. A guarding position? No. A dependency response? Sela looked at him. No. The third answer was sharper. Rin closed the form she had been pretending to read. Sela continued. A Varkish juvenile does not surrender awareness easily. Sleep removes scent tracking, sight, balance, and immediate defense. Family remain near young sleepers because the juvenile cannot watch every direction. The supervisor's posture changed. Sela looked at Rin. An outsider who approaches a sleeping boundary without invitation is corrected. Rin glanced down at Tumble. That sounds like a polite way of saying bitten. Sela's mouth moved again. Sometimes, useful footnote, you freed what held his rest place. Then you withdrew from it. He looked like he wanted everyone farther away. He did. That part was not complicated. Several people around them looked mildly offended by the suggestion. Sela noticed. That is why it mattered. Tumble's eyes closed. Sela sat near the opposite edge of the pad, not beside Rin, beside her son. The distinction was clear. Rin returned to her forms. For the first time since the registry had marked her unmatched, the word above her desk felt less like a verdict and more like an administrative inconvenience. Placement Dean Evan Rask arrived 20 minutes later. He was human, which somehow made his ability to turn anything into procedure more impressive. Rask stopped beneath Rin's registry display, read the word Unmatched, looked at Tumble asleep underneath it, and pinched the bridge of his nose. "No one touch anything." Rin raised a hand slightly. "That has been my policy. I was told a juvenile crossed Pairing Hall carrying a sleeping pad. He did. To your station. Yes. After the registry returned no compatible family assignment for you. That is also apparently still true." Rask looked at Sela. Family Representative Orun, Sela inclined her head. "Is this behavior meaningful?" "Yes." "Is it equivalent to a match?" "No." Rask paused. Rin could almost see the forms colliding in his head. "What is it equivalent to?" Sela's gaze went to Tumble. "That answer belongs later," Rask frowned. "Why? Because you are already trying to name it before you understand it." Rin looked down to hide her smile. Rask saw anyway. Cadet called her. "Yes, Dean, do not enjoy this. I have been unmatched for 11 days. I am taking entertainment where available." Tumble opened one eye. Rin immediately went quiet. The eye closed again. Rask watched the exchange. He did not say anything else. For the rest of the afternoon, the Academy studied a phenomenon that mostly consisted of nothing happening. Tumble slept. Rin worked. Sela stayed nearby. When Tumble woke, he left the pad without looking at Rin and followed his mother to the family feeding room. He did not hesitate. He did not ask permission. He did not wait for Rin. Rin felt something loosen in the room when he disappeared through the doors. A technician beside Rask whispered, "So it ended." Sela heard him, "No." The technician looked embarrassed. Sela added, "He went to eat." That became the first problem with the registry review. Everyone wanted every movement to mean something permanent. The Varkesh family did not. Tumble returned after feeding because his family returned. He spent 10 minutes trying to knock a marker from Rin's desk without appearing interested in it. Rin moved it farther from the edge. Tumble stared at her. She moved it farther again. Tumble slowly extended one paw. "Don't?" The paw continued. Tumble, he looked directly at Rin and pushed the marker off the desk. It clicked against the floor. Sela closed her eyes. Rin looked at the cub. That was deliberate. Tumble settled onto the pad. Sela made a quiet sound. "What?" "He likes you." Rin bent to pick up the marker. "That is a terrible diagnostic tool. For Varkesh juveniles, destruction while maintaining eye contact is extremely clear. I preferred the mattress." "So did I?" The next morning, Tumble did not come to Rin's desk. He stayed with Sela in the family commons. Rin noticed. She also noticed that 3 technicians noticed her noticing. She continued sorting reports. By midday, she had nearly convinced herself she did not care when a familiar scraping sound came from the hall. Tumble appeared, dragging the sleeping pad. He brought it beside her desk. Turned twice. Lay down. Nobody applauded. Rin was grateful. By the 4th day, Pairing Hall had developed rules no one had formally written. Do not move Tumble's sleeping pad while he was using it. Do not crowd the boundary. Do not interpret his departure as rejection. Do not interpret his return as ownership. Do not put markers near the edge of Rin's desk unless willing to lose them. The registry still said Unmatched. Rask disliked contradictions. He liked unresolved contradictions even less. Rin found him waiting at her desk before morning briefing. Tumble was not there. "You can clear this today," he said. Rin sat down. "Good morning to you too. We can reopen your compatibility assessment." "With whom?" Rask looked toward the family commons. Rin followed his gaze. "Your registry result is blocking field assignment. I know, you have now demonstrated sustained non-escalatory interaction with a species group that originally returned no match. I know, a reassessment is reasonable. A reassessment of me is reasonable, that is what I— No, I did not finish. You were going to say Tumble. I was going to say the Varkesh family group. Still no." Rask folded his arms. "I'm proposing. With him as the test." Rask hesitated just long enough. Rin shook her head. I'm not turning that into a performance. No one is suggesting a performance. What happens if he doesn't come? We record that. What happens if he does? We record that. And what happens if he gets tired of 10 people staring at him while I am supposed to prove? No, Cadet. He carries his bed over here because he wants to sleep. Something? Rask's jaw tightened. We manage the environment, which changes the thing you want to measure. That is not necessarily true. It is exactly true. Rask leaned one hand on the desk. Calder, your cohort departs for field response rotation at the end of the week. She knew. She had known for months. The rotation was the reason she had enrolled. Mixed species evacuation support. Family movement. Emergency shelter coordination. The kind of work she had been training to do before the registry decided her instincts were incompatible with everyone currently available. If your file remains unresolved, Rask said, you do not go. Rin looked at the empty space beside her desk. Tumble's pad was not there. For once, she wished it was. Not because she wanted him to choose her, because an enormous sleeping juvenile made conversations with administrators easier to survive. Rask softened his voice. I'm giving you a path back. Rin looked at him. With somebody else's child as the path. He is participating in an Academy Family Interfaced program. He is sleeping. That behavior is relevant to you, to your future. Rin stared at the unmatched display above the desk. The easy answer was right there. Let them test it. Let them place Tumble in the hall. Let Rin sit at the desk. Let the observers watch. Let the registry turn whatever happened into a score. Maybe he would bring the pad. Maybe he would not. Either way, Rin could tell herself she had done nothing wrong. Sela entered quietly from the side corridor. She had heard enough. Rask inclined his head. Family representative. Sela looked at Rin. You may use him. Rin blinked. Rask straightened. Sela continued, if that is what you want. The words landed harder because Rin knew Sela meant them. Not as permission from an owner, as trust from a parent. Rin swallowed. No, Rask closed his eyes briefly. Sela's attention stayed on Rin. Why? Because he shouldn't have to be predictable for me to pass. The hall went quiet. Rin wished immediately that fewer people had heard that. Sela stepped closer. Rask said, you understand the consequence. Yes, you will miss the current field rotation. Rin's fingers tightened around the edge of the desk. Yes. If this remains unresolved, there is no guarantee the next placement window will be soon. Yes, Rask waited. Rin did not change her answer. No test. He straightened. Then the current registry result stands. Above them, the panel remained unchanged. Unmatched. Tumble arrived 15 minutes later. He carried the sleeping pad. Rin laughed once under her breath. Your timing is awful. He dropped onto the mat and put one giant paw over the toe of her boot. Rask looked at him, then at Rin. He walked away without another word. Sela sat near her son. After a long silence, she said, among my people, adults say humans make families sideways. Rin glanced at her. What does that mean? You do not wait for lineage, scent, household, rank, or permission. You see something alone and begin behaving as if its safety concerns you. That sounds inefficient. It is. Rin nodded. Good. I would hate to accidentally have a flattering cultural trait. Sela's throat made the soft Varkesh sound Rin had learned was laughter. The field response transport left 3 days later. Rin did not go to the departure deck. She told herself she had records to finish. The truth was less tidy. At the time her cohort was scheduled to board, she was sitting at the desk under the word Unmatched, entering supply corrections from a shelter drill she would not be attending. Tumble was with his family. The space beside her chair was empty. That mattered. If he had been there, the moment might have felt like a trade. A field rotation for a cub. Rin refused to think of it that way. She had not gained Tumble. She had simply refused to spend him. Her terminal accepted another form. No sound followed. Rin looked at the speaker grill. It had been silent since the first day. She had muted it after the cleaning rail incident, but the setting had later been restored. The speaker itself had failed sometime afterward. A maintenance note had been sitting unnoticed in the system. Rin opened it. Audio module, replacement pending. She stared at the line, then she understood why Rask's technical review had become stuck on one explanation. Her desk was quiet, quieter than the rest of Pairing Hall. Perhaps Tumble had never chosen Rin at all. Perhaps he had chosen the only station where the confirmation tones did not snap through his sensitive hearing mantles. Rin leaned back. The possibility did not hurt as much as she expected. It actually made sense. Tumble had come to the desk after the first sharp terminal sound was muted. He liked quiet. The Varkish valued sleeping boundaries. A silent workstation beside a person who did not touch him was probably excellent real estate. That afternoon, she found Rask outside the registry room. "My speaker is broken." "I know." "You knew? It was added to the review yesterday. And it matters." Rin nodded. He studied her face. "You are not upset. Why would I be? Because it offers a non-relational explanation." "Then use it." Rask looked almost suspicious. "If that is what happened," Rin said, "I'd rather know. You are willing to accept that the behavior had nothing to do with you. If that is true." Rask glanced through the glass toward the family commons. Tumble was lying half across Sila's forelegs. "You really are inconvenient. I have been documenting that for weeks." The replacement audio module arrived the next morning. Rin was present when the technician installed it. Tumble was not. The cub had gone with Sela to a family exercise on another floor. Rin signed the maintenance acknowledgement, tested the terminal, and winced when a crisp confirmation tone sounded. "Too loud," she said. The technician adjusted it. A softer tone followed. "Still annoying? That is technically not a maintenance category. It should be." The technician gave her a long look and left. Rin returned to work. The first real confirmation tone sounded 40 minutes later when she closed a transfer record. No cub appeared. The second sounded before lunch. Nothing. By afternoon, Rin had mostly forgotten about it. Tumble spent the day with his family. The following morning, the hall was busy. 2 family groups were preparing for evacuation drills. Cadets moved equipment between stations. The quiet rest alcoves along the eastern wall remained empty. Rin processed a stack of shelter assignments. Her terminal chimed. She grimaced. Across the room, Tumble lifted his head. He was beside Sela. Rin saw him glance toward her. Then he lowered his head again. That should have been the end of it. Rin returned to work. A few minutes later, something scraped across the floor. She looked up. Tumble had his sleeping pad in his mouth. Sela remained where she was. The cub dragged the pad past the first empty rest alcove. The alcove was silent. He passed the second, silent. He passed a padded family station with no active terminal at all. Rin stopped moving. The entire room seemed to realize what was happening, one person at a time. No one spoke. Tumble reached Rin's desk. Her terminal chimed again. His mantles twitched. He gave the speaker grill a deeply offended look. Rin covered her mouth. Tumble dropped the pad. He turned once. Twice. Then, apparently deciding the repaired speaker was an insult he could survive, he lay down beside her chair. Rask was standing at the far end of the hall. Rin met his eyes. Neither of them said anything. Tumble stretched. One hind paw pushed under Rin's desk. The registry panel above him still read Unmatched. Rin looked down. "You had quieter options?" Tumble closed his eyes. Sela approached. She stopped beside the pad, studying her son. Rask joined them. "The quiet station explanation is insufficient," he said. Rin nodded. "It is not eliminated entirely." "Of course not." Rask looked at her. "You sound disappointed. I'm trying to protect your reputation for being difficult." "Thank you." Sela lowered herself beside Tumble. "He chose the place again." Rask replied carefully. "Yes. Not because he was required." "No. Not because she called." "No. Not for food." "No. Not because I directed him." "No." Sela's eyes rested on him. Rask exhaled. "I know where you are going with this. I'm not going anywhere." "My son is asleep." Rin looked between them. "I really enjoy when you two argue around me." Rask did not smile. But he nearly did. The repeated choice forced the review forward. It also made the Academy more dangerous in a very specific way. Everyone became interested. Cadets who had barely noticed Rin before started finding reasons to pass the records desk. Faculty members asked for observation access. A behavior specialist requested comparative footage. Rask denied most of them. That surprised Rin. What happened to Data? He did not look up from his tablet. Too many observers alter the environment. Rin raised her eyebrows. That sounds familiar. I am capable of learning. Document this date. I regret the progress already. The deeper problem remained. The registry had only two useful outcomes for cadet family interaction: matched, unmatched. A match could support assignment, supervised access, and role-specific training. Unmatched meant no such assignment existed. Tumble's behavior fit neither category cleanly. Rin had no Varkish training assignment. Sela had not requested one. Tumble was not under Rin's care. He did not follow her commands. In fact, Rin had tested that accidentally. Tumble, she had said one morning when he was blocking the lower drawer. He looked at her. Move. He put his head down and went to sleep. Sela had laughed for nearly a minute. Yet the cub repeatedly selected Rin's vicinity when he wanted to rest. He accepted her movement near the edge of his sleeping boundary. He allowed her to stand, sit, work, drop papers, open drawers, and once retrieve a pen from beneath the mat after she waited for him to lift his paw. He did not permit every cadet to do those things. The registry could describe assignment. It could not describe this. Rask scheduled one final review, not a test, a review. Rin agreed because Tumble would not be brought anywhere for it. He could appear or not appear. Sela would remain primary. No food, no cues, no restraint, no performance. The review room overlooked family commons through a broad transparent wall. Rin hated it immediately. There are too many chairs. Rask looked at the row behind him. There are 5. Exactly. Sela stood beside the door. Current status. Unmatched. Yes. Observed voluntary proximity with one Varkish juvenile. Yes. Repeated selection of your work area after environmental quiet was removed as a unique factor. Yes. Family representative confirms culturally meaningful resting boundary. Tumble was elsewhere with 2 juvenile cousins and had shown no interest in the meeting. That seemed appropriate. Rask opened Rin's file behavior. Sela inclined her head. Yes. Rask paused. The simplest administrative correction is to establish a provisional Varkesh match. Rin stared at him. No, he lifted a hand. Hear me out. We already did this. The second event changed the evidence. It did not change the relationship. It changes how confidently the Academy can interpret it. Fine, interpret it. That is what a match classification does. Sela spoke. No, Rask turned. The Varkish mother stepped farther into the room. You wish to turn trust into assignment because your records possess a place for assignment. That is not what I said. It is the shape of what you said. Rask's expression tightened. The Academy needs operational categories. Sela nodded. Yes, it cannot maintain a file whose meaning is simply that one juvenile sometimes sleeps near one cadet. Why? Because that information has consequences. Rin leaned forward. What consequences? Rask looked at her. If Tumble becomes distressed during an emergency, staff may need to know you are a calming presence. Then write that. If he seeks you during an evacuation, then write that. If he permits you inside a boundary, he denies others. Write that. Rask set the tablet down. The registry structure does not work that way. Rin sat back. There it was. Not cruelty, not stupidity. A box. A system built to answer one question now being asked to answer another because nobody had made a second place to put the truth. Rin looked through the glass. Tumble was not there. That mattered again. She was glad. I'm not taking a match, she said. Rask's voice stayed calm. Then your current unmatched result remains visible. Okay. You understand how that may affect future assignments. Yes. You are willing to remain formally unmatched despite clear evidence of a relationship. Rin looked at him. That relationship is not a job. Rask said nothing. Sela's hearing mantles shifted slightly. Rin continued. If Tumble wants to sleep beside me, he can. If he wants his mother, he leaves. If he wants a different corner tomorrow, he takes it. If you turn that into my assignment, every time he walks away becomes failure. Sela lowered her head. Rin noticed. Rask did too. If you make him my proof, Rin said, then I need him to behave a certain way. I don't want that. Silence settled over the review room. Rask picked up his tablet. Then I cannot clear the match field. I know. Rin rose. Sela remained seated. Rin reached for the door. Cadet called her. She looked back. Rask's expression had changed. Not agreement. Not yet. Something closer to uncertainty. You have made this unnecessarily difficult. Rin opened the door. I think the registry did that first. Outside, she returned to the record station. The desk was covered in forms. Her terminal chimed. No tumble. She spent 20 minutes correcting duplicate shelter entries. Then she noticed the corner of the woven sleeping pad loop sticking from beneath the desk. She bent down. Tumble had apparently dragged the pad there sometime while she was in review, and then left again. Rin stared at the empty mat. That was new. Usually he stayed if he brought it. Sela emerged from the review room. Where is he? Rin pointed to the empty pad. Sela looked toward the far corridor. Tumble. No answer. Rin's stomach tightened before she could stop it. Then a Varkish juvenile tore around the corner. Tumble was not alone. Two smaller cousins bounded behind him. All three raced past Rin. Tumble slapped one paw onto his pad as he passed, nearly folded it in half, abandoned the effort, and continued chasing the others toward Family Commons. Rin stared after him. Sela watched her. He left his bed. Yes, with you. Apparently, does that frighten you? Rin thought about it. No. Why? Because he'll come back for it. Sela held her gaze for several seconds, then she said a single word. Nalem. Rin frowned. What? Nalem. The Varkesh pronunciation was soft, built around a sound humans did not make cleanly. Rin tried anyway. Nalem? Close. What does it mean? Sela looked at the empty pad. There is no exact human word. That usually means somebody is about to give me a title I do not want. It is not a title. Good. It is a family position. Rin stopped smiling. Sela continued before she could object. Not mother. Good. Not handler. Better. Not owner. Excellent. A person outside the family who may remain at the edge of a juvenile's rest because the juvenile believes that person will not turn vulnerability into control. Rin looked down at the pad. That is very specific. We are a specific people. Does Tumble know the word? No. Then who decided? I did. Rin looked at her. Sela's expression was steady. You refused the match. Yes. You allowed him to leave. Yes. You accepted the cost. Rin glanced toward the corridor where her cohort had disappeared days earlier. Yes. Sela touched the woven corner of the sleeping pad with one claw. A person who only wants the cub near her is not Nalem. Rin understood then. The thing Sela had refused to name on the first day was not proven by Tumble carrying the pad over. It was proven every time Rin let him carry himself away. The next morning, Rask came to the records desk before briefing. He looked at the pad. Tumble was sleeping on it. Sela rested several meters away. Rask said, Family Representative Oren used a formal cultural designation in yesterday's review notes. Rin winced. You put Nalem in paperwork? I put everything in paperwork. That feels wrong. It is my one remaining joy. Tumble opened his eyes. At that moment, Sela stood. The cub raised his head. She walked toward the family commons doors. Tumble got up. He stepped off the pad. Rin continued sorting her forms. He followed his mother. Rask watched him go. Rin did not. You are not going to call him? No. Why? He's leaving with Sela. I can see that. Then why would I call him? Rask looked toward the door. Tumble disappeared through it. The sleeping pad remained beside Rin's desk. The registry still said Unmatched. Rask's voice was quiet. He left? Yes. You do not appear concerned. He has legs. That is not what I meant. I know Rin signed a supply correction. The terminal chimed. Rask stood there for another minute. Then he went to morning briefing. Tumble did not return before lunch. Rin worked. The pad stayed empty. Someone offered to move it so she would have more space. Rin said no, not because she expected the cub back. Because it was not hers to move. After lunch, Sayla returned alone. Rin looked up. "Where's Tumble?" "With family." "Good?" Sayla settled near the far wall. Rin returned to work. An hour passed. Then another. The unmatched display dimmed automatically as the hall shifted into afternoon cycle. Rin almost forgot about the empty pad. A scraping sound came from the corridor. She looked up. Tumble appeared. He was dragging something, not the pad beside Rin. A second, thinner family mat had caught around one foreleg. Rin stared. Tumble saw the original sleeping pad by her desk. He stopped, released the smaller mat, walked to his own, seized the woven corner. Then he dragged his pad away from Rin. Rask, entering from the opposite door, froze. Tumble pulled the pad halfway across Pairing Hall. Rin watched him go. He stopped near Sayla, turned twice, lay down against his mother's foreleg. Rask looked at Rin. She smiled. "There. Your data is ruined, but the story was not finished." Tumble slept beside Sayla until late afternoon. When Sayla rose again, she moved to the family meal room. Tumble followed her. The pad stayed behind. Rin finished the last record on her queue. Her terminal chimed. She shut it down. The hall quieted. Rin stood and collected her study sheets. That was when Tumble came back. No one called him. Sayla was still visible through the open family room doorway. Tumble crossed the hall alone. He reached his pad near the far wall, bit the woven corner, dragged it toward Rin. The sound of fabric over the floor carried through the room. Rask stopped beside the registry station. Sayla stepped into the doorway. Tumble passed the silent alcove, past the family station, past Rask. He reached Rin's desk, turned once, twice, dropped onto the pad. Then he put his head down. Rin remained standing. Nobody had summoned him. Nobody had offered food. Nobody had moved his mother. Nobody had assigned him. He had left freely. He had returned freely. That was all. Rin looked at Rask. He was staring at the registry display above her. Unmatched. Rin tucked the study sheets under one arm. Dean? Yes? Can a relationship be real without becoming a match? Rask did not answer. Not immediately. Sayla did. Yes. Rask looked from the mother to the cub. Then to Rin. The question was embarrassingly simple. The answer was worse for his paperwork. He walked to Rin's terminal, woke the registry interface, and opened her file. The word unmatched appeared in red. Below it were all the reasons. Low command projection. Low intervention frequency. No formal family assignment. No verified training match. Rask opened a classification menu. There was nowhere to enter Nalem. He closed it. Opened another. Nothing. Rin stood beside him. Problem? Yes. Good. He gave her a look. You enjoy this too much. I missed my field rotation because of this screen. I have earned a little. Rask opened the administrative structure. He did not delete Unmatched. That surprised her. Instead, he created a second field beneath it. Formal assignment status, Unmatched. Below that, another line appeared. He typed slowly. Voluntary family trust, recognized. Rin stared. Rask added conditions. No custody authority, no command presumption, no juvenile assignment implied, family primacy unchanged. Sayla came closer. She read every line. Then she inclined her head. Rask looked at Rin. This does not erase the missed rotation. I know it does not grant you Varkesh handling authority. I don't want it. It does not automatically place you in a new response unit. I know it does restore your general field eligibility. The registry can no longer treat absence of a formal match as evidence of absence of useful cross-species trust. Rin looked up at the display. The red word was still there, but it was no longer alone. That is messier. Yes, I like it. I do not. Sayla made the Varkesh laughing sound. Rask shut down the panel. I will circulate the correction standard tomorrow. Rin looked at him. You're actually changing it. The registry answered the question it was designed to answer. Who am I assigned to? Yes, and everyone assumed it was answering something bigger. Whether you could matter to anyone, Rask's mouth tightened. That was the error. Tumble opened one eye. Rin crouched at the edge of the pad without crossing onto it. You caused a lot of paperwork. The cub's eye closed. Sela said, "He is proud." He should not be. He pushed 3 objects from my table this morning. That supports your theory. Rin stood. Rask collected his tablet. Before leaving, he stopped beside Tumble's pad. He did not touch it. That was the first time Rin noticed he had learned the boundary too. The Academy's new registry notes spread faster than Rask wanted. Within 2 weeks, 3 unrelated files were reopened. None produced another Nalem designation. That was also important. The correction was not a machine for manufacturing bonds. It only created room to record one when it happened. Rin received a place in a later response rotation. Not the one she had lost. That transport was gone, along with the first field experience she had trained for. No administrator tried to pretend otherwise. Rask signed the replacement assignment personally. When Rin saw the date, she looked at him. "You could have moved me sooner." "No. You're sure?" "Yes, because?" "Because repairing a classification does not create a seat on a transport that left 12 days ago." Rin nodded. "Good." Rask looked suspicious again. "You wanted me to say that. I wanted you not to turn the ending into magic." He stared at her. "Calder, sometimes I deeply regret your education." Sela approved of the later rotation. Tumble did not appear to care. On Rin's final evening before departure, he slept with his family, not beside her desk. Rin packed her study sheets into a case, shut down the records terminal, and looked at the empty floor. She felt the old instinct to wait, then she laughed at herself. Ridiculous. Sela approached from behind. "What is?" "I was wondering if he was coming." "He is asleep?" "I know. With me, I know." Sela stood beside her. "You wanted him here." Rin considered lying. "Yes, that is allowed." Rin looked at her. Sela added, "Nalem is not a person who never wants the juvenile near. It is a person who does not turn wanting into a claim." Rin leaned against the desk. "That sounds harder." "It is." "Of course it is." Sela held something out, a short woven loop, dark fibers, pale edge stitching. Rin recognized it immediately. One corner of Tumble's sleeping pad had been repaired after weeks of dragging across the floor. The old loop had been replaced. Rin did not take it at first. "What is that?" "You know." "I mean, what does it mean?" "It means the old loop was worn out." Rin waited. Sela's mouth moved. And I thought you might keep it. No ceremony? No oath? No ancient responsibility that somehow requires me to move to your homeworld. No. Rin accepted the loop. Excellent. She tied it to the drawer handle of the records desk. Sela watched. "You are not wearing it." "I lose things I wear." "You will not lose a desk." Less likely, Tumble remained asleep with his family. Rin left for field rotation the next morning. When she returned weeks later, Latticegate looked exactly the same. The cleaning rails still hummed. Pairing Hall still had too many signs. Rask had added a new registry guidance panel that contained 40% more words than necessary. Rin told him so. He told her she was welcome to submit an edit. She immediately lost interest. Her old records desk belonged to another cadet during the day, but Rin still used it for evening study because the terminal held her archived training files. The woven loop remained tied to the drawer. She found Sela in family commons. Tumble was larger. Not dramatically. Just enough that Rin noticed his shoulders had begun catching up with his paws. He saw her. His hearing mantles opened. Rin stopped. Tumble trotted over. For 1 second she expected something enormous and sentimental. He passed her, went behind the desk, found a marker. Knocked it onto the floor. Rin stared. Sela made the Varkesh laughing sound. "You missed me too," Rin said. Tumble ignored her. That evening he slept with his mother. The next evening he dragged his pad beside Rin's desk. 2 evenings later he chose the family commons again. No one logged the change. No one requested a review. No one called it contradictory. Rin's registry file still contained both lines. Formal assignment status, Unmatched, voluntary family trust, recognized. She eventually stopped looking at either. The relationship had become too ordinary for the screen to improve it. On one quiet evening, Rin was studying evacuation routing while Sela rested near the wall. Tumble arrived carrying the old sleeping pad. He dragged it beside the desk, turned once, twice, dropped down. Rin shifted her chair so she would not roll over his tail. Her terminal chimed. One hearing mantle twitched. Tumble stayed asleep. Rin reached for another page. At the edge of the pad, one of Tumble's rear paws rested against Sela's foreleg. The worn woven loop hung from Rin's drawer above them.